or even staying warm. Because if there's one thing about living underground that's predictable, it's the temperature.
Well, no matter how hot or cold it is in the air in Chicago, 20 feet underground, it's around 55 degrees Fahrenheit, no matter the time of the year.
But the deeper you get, the warmer it becomes. Thanks to something called the geothermal gradient. On the surface, temperatures are affected by the sun and atmospheric changes. But up to 200 feet below ground, the temperature remains constant. Then, for every 100 feet deeper, the temperature rises about 1 degree Fahrenheit. Fortunately, in the underground city, the geological limits of construction would ensure that things didn't get too toasty.
I think it might be nice to be constantly at 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. That would be the highly variable 0 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit at the surface.
An unvarying climate is one advantage that the underground city will have over its surface level counterpart. But there's one quality to which the underground city can't hold a candle.
Possibly the most important issue would be the lighting itself, because without artificial illumination down there, it's completely black.
Daylight, so vital to health and human happiness, can only come from one source. But if a solution exists, it may be found at Rensselaer's Polytechnic Institute's Lighting Research Center in Troy, New York. Here, researchers focus on light's effects on health and the circadian system, the 24-hour cycle that all humans are programmed to follow.
The circadian system wants to see a regular 24-hour pattern, and that is the pattern that we evolutionarily grew up with. It's in the last 100 years that we have electric light that allows us to extend light into the nighttime. But what's also happened in the last 100 years, we live indoors.
With that move indoors to offices and homes with electric lighting, humans have disrupted the light-dark pattern that regulates the circadian system.
We can be in perfectly good light to see, and yet we can be in biological darkness. You can't necessarily stimulate the circadian system with electric lighting.
With only artificial light, the internal clocks of underground citizens would go haywire.
The circadian system is a clock that runs all the time anyway. And if you don't have a resetting of that clock, a synchronization of the sunrise-sunset, you can go into this architectural jet lag, as we call it.
To maintain this synchronization, engineers will have to design lighting systems that mimic the patterns on the surface. But even these artificial means don't go far enough.
It is important not just how much light you get, but when you're getting the light and what kind of light you're getting.
In the Light Research Center's lab, a test measures light's effects on brain activity. Hooked up to an EEG, a subject is exposed to different wavelengths of light. While all wavelengths stimulate the brain, blue light is the most effective.
The reason why we're working with blue light is because we have shown that the circadian system is maximally sensitive to blue light.
That may be because the color of the sky has programmed our brains to respond to the blue wavelength of visible light. RPI has found that the need for blue light is so ingrained into human DNA that it only takes a small amount to trigger alertness.
So this way you can effectively achieve the same result in reducing melatonin levels or increasing brain activities with less amount of power or with less light. So it's an energy efficient way of impacting the circadian system.
That energy savings would preclude the city from having to bathe common areas in blue light, or from running ultra-hot lights to simulate sunlight. Instead, residents could take a more personal approach.
Blue light is so effective for the circadian system. We can get very low levels of blue light and be able to impact the circadian system.
Brief exposure to blue light is as effective as using a more common method for waking up.
What you can do is, just like a cup of coffee, you can use light for 15 minutes, 20 minutes to perk you up and to give you some alerting stimulus.
It's a field of study so new that researchers are only just beginning to apply their findings to modern architecture.
When we design electric lighting for buildings, we are designing them really to not provide a lot of blue light.
RPI's breakthroughs in light research will help city planners overcome some of the huge psychological challenges of living underground by making the environment not only pleasant looking, but pleasant to live in too.
If we understand the system, we can design electric lighting to do everything that natural light does. There is no technological barrier to providing a person with a regular light-dark pattern.
Of course, nothing can compare to a view, but it's something engineers could design around. With all the comforts of the surface world, Chicago's underground city could become home to tens of thousands of people. But as it expanded to keep up with growing demand, planners could face a surprising and dangerous crisis.
This is an American Heroes Channel Hero Moment. Colonel Robin Owens.
He's 44 years old. He's got almost 2 decades on some of his airmen.
He said, I'm going